The theme this time is 5 taboos in parenting. For example, marital quarrels, lack of affection, corporal punishment, neglect, etc. Needless to say, it causes great damage to the child's brain. This time's content is not these. It's a taboo that parents and grandparents tend to do innocently. Adults can do that and ruin a child's life. With the development of psychology and brain science, many such taboos are becoming known. One example is the undermining effect. A child who loves drawing draws a portrait of Grandpa. Grandpa is happy and gives the child some pocket money. Then the child will not like drawing and may not draw. Human motivation can be divided into 2 types: intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. The intrinsic motivation is to act according to one's curiosity and interests. The extrinsic motivation is to act by, I want to be praised, or, I want to get a reward. People are more motivated when they act by intrinsic motivation. When parents reward their children, their motivation may change from intrinsic to extrinsic. Then the child will not like what he used to like. This is the undermining effect. Don't reward your kids, even if a math lover gets 100 points on the test. It's an important talent for the child to like something. Parents rewarding their children may destroy their children's talents. In this way, the casual behavior of adults adversely affects the growth of children. Here are 5 taboos that are particularly problematic. This content is useful not only for dads and moms who are raising children, but also for grandpas and grandmas, and young people who are still in the process of raising children. Please watch this video until the end. The first taboo is parents do not return. What is a return? For example, when a baby finds a dog and makes a loud voice, the mother says, "It's cute, isn't it?" When the child yawns, the mother says, "Do you sleep?" When a child pees in a diaper, he says, "Let's change the diaper right away." As you can see, it is important to put your child's feelings into words. Recent studies have shown that this behavior develops the child's brain. A researcher at Harvard University named this kind of parent-child communication, serve and return. It's like tennis. The baby's behavior is serve. Return is when adults express their children's feelings. If the parent does not return, the child's brain will be slow to develop. Specifically, the child's emotions, perceptions, words, and memories become poor. As a result, the children will not be able to perform their full potential. In addition, the children will be mentally unstable. It's scary, isn't it? Parents find serve and return as meaningless repetitions. However, they contain a lot of information to develop the child's brain. The first taboo for parenting is parents do not return. For a child's healthy brain growth, the return of an adult is of utmost importance. The second taboo is parents do not relieve their children's stress. What does this mean? For example, when a child is scared of a dog in a park, a mother reassures the child by saying, "This dog is kind, so you don't have to be afraid." When a child has a tantrum that he still wants to play, his parents soothe him, "Yes, you want to play more. Let's go home after sliding down the slide once more." In this way, parents can quickly relieve their child's stress so that their child's mind grows healthy. On the contrary, it is taboo that parents do not try to relieve their children's stress. For example, parents say, "Don't be selfish, why can't you do that?" Parents leave the crying child alone. If parents raise their children this way, their hormonal balance will be upset. In addition, it has an adverse effect on the DNA of children. Simply put, DNA gets dusty. When this happens, the hippocampal function of the brain weakens. The hippocampus has the function of memory and the function of processing stress hormones. Therefore, when the hippocampus weakens, the child cannot process stress hormones well. As a result, the child becomes vulnerable to stress and cannot handle emotions well. They grow up timid. It will affect the future life of children. Not relieving a child's stress is the same as not watering the dehydrated mind. It leaves a sequel in the child's mind. Older people often thought, if parents raise their children hard, they will be more stress resistant. But it's a mistake. It's an action you should never do. The second taboo was parents do not relieve stress in their children. The third taboo for parenting is parents do not play with their children. This is a fairly important issue. I think there are many parents who are too busy to play with their children. I think there are parents who have left their children to the TV or let them play alone on their smartphones. However, the brains of children who rarely play with their parents are slow to develop. There is a very straightforward study on this. In the olden days, there were many children in poor areas of Jamaica whose brains were underdeveloped. At that time, it was thought that the cause was probably undernourishment. A university researcher who was suspicious of it conducted an experiment on children. The researchers instructed parents in one group to give their children dietary supplements. He taught the parents of the other group to play a lot with their children. Researchers continued this guidance for 2 years. 30 years later, researchers examined grown-up children. Surprisingly, the group that was instructed to play a lot grew better than the other group. They had a high IQ, less aggressive behavior, more self-control, and a lot of income. In other words, the reason why the child's intelligence level was low was not because of undernourishment, but because the parents did not play with the child. There are other stories like this. Raising a Baby's a story about a couple. They were too busy to play with their children. That's why they kept watching TV for their kids. The TV was like a parent of a child. When their child was 1.5 years old, doctors diagnosed their child as having autism. The doctor said, "In the future, your child will not be able to work and will not be able to get married." Certainly, as the teacher said, their children didn't speak and had poor facial expressions. Didn't give up. They read a lot of books. And they found this sentence: "Play with your child as time permits, and take them to different places to stimulate their brains." For the next 5 years, they played with their children every day. They took their children to different places every day. What happened as a result? Their child finally started talking at the age of 3. And when the child became a junior high school student, the child became a child who could study for himself. Children are now able to learn programming and make games on their own. The development of their child's brain has caught up with the other children. Parent-child play is very important. As I said, the foundation of a child's intelligence and spirit is nurtured through play with parents. Play a lot with your child while they are young. If possible, please play with your children while you are in elementary school. Next, the fourth taboo is children eat alone. Whether or not you eat with your family affects your child's development. This is the result of research by the Japanese government. The specific effects are as follows. The risk of delaying the development of communication skills increases 70 times. The risk of delayed development of children's comprehension is 44 times higher. It's a ridiculous number, isn't it? If the child's communication and comprehension skills are poor, he is not good at studying, relationships, work and reading. Eating with the whole family will prevent that. It's important to have time to talk with your family. Finally, the fifth taboo is children spend the night. Staying up late is a very dangerous act for children. If a child becomes sleep deprived, the child's brain becomes intoxicated. The child is unaware of it, but is in the same state as drinking alcohol. The child will go to school in a drunken state. As a result, the child is unmotivated, unable to concentrate, unable to remember, and unable to endure. And the child gets so stressed that he hates studying, hates teachers, hates school, and eventually hates himself. The child misunderstands himself as being low in nature. With this as a trigger, the child begins to behave in a problematic manner. Some children have become violent, and some have been absent from school. Staying up late is like a snowball rolling down a hill. The snowman grows bigger as it rolls on the floor. Sleep deprivation also becomes a big problem over time and becomes unmanageable. On the contrary, a child who sleeps at 9 o'clock every day does not have problem behavior. Because if a child gets enough sleep, life will be very enjoyable. By the way, the ideal sleeping time is 10 to 13 hours for infants, 9 to 12 hours for elementary school students, 8 to 10 hours for high school students. Elementary school students who wake up at 7 a.m. must be in bed before 2200. I think some parents find it difficult. However, this is just ideal. Even if you can't, try to get closer to your ideal. The amount of sleep in childhood affects their subsequent lives. Please do something to ensure that you have enough sleep. Now, let's summarize this story. 1. Parents do not return. 2. Parents do not relieve the stress of their children. 3. Parents do not play with their children. 4. The child eats alone. 5. Children spend the night. These 5 behaviors introduced here have an adverse effect on the development of the child's brain and mind. In addition, these 5 can also reduce a child's self-affirmation. If you have any behavior that you can think of, try to improve it. Finally, I will talk about what you should definitely do while raising a child. It is parents tell their children about family history. Dad and Mom met at this place. Grandpa had a hard time opening the store. A child who knows the history of the family has a much stronger spirit and self-esteem than a child who doesn't. They are emotionally stable and stress-resistant. One study revealed that there is a strong correlation between knowing family history and mental health. The results of this study are said to be very important discoveries. Just talking about the history of your family can be very effective in your child's growth. There is no way you can't do it. It may be a little embarrassing to tell your old tales. It will surely be a fun story for children. Please tell your child about the history of your family. So that's it for this time. Thank you for watching until the end. I would like to thank everyone for the end.